Burhan Sönmez, I am very happy and honored to have the possibility of making this interview with you as a newly elected president of PEN International. In the assessment that you published before being elected as a candidate for the election, you wrote that today PEN International is needed more than ever. Could you elaborate about this? What makes today PEN International more necessary than before?
Thank you, Jan. Thank you for this opportunity. Especially in the last few years, when we look around different continents, not only outside Europe now, even within Europe, we see that so many countries, especially in political aspect, getting in trouble. Anti-democratic currents are gaining big influence on political platform. Then we see the space of freedom of expression, the space of free writing, free journalism getting narrow and narrow. It is not something that just about a certain part of the world. It starts from Myanmar to Philippines, from United States to Hungary to Poland to Russia, Turkey, all around the world. Now, more or less under the negative influence of this new authoritarian wave. So PEN International and other organizations like us are faced to see this new challenge, and against this new political current, we need to raise the voice of freedom of expression stronger than before. That's what I meant during that election process.
The year 2021 is also the centenary of PEN International. What is your vision of these 10 decades which have been known by the writers? And second question, as a writer, as a Kurdish Turkish writer, having been threatened in your country, having suffered exile, what is your personal experience at that time of PEN International?
Thank you for this private, personal question. Like so many writers, I've been suffered state oppression. And my writing and also my advocacy activism kind of pose danger for authorities in Turkey. And what can we do if they see that we are dangerous for them? The only thing we can do, I think, is to speak louder, to make our pen sharper instead of just retreating back or doing self-censorship. No, now we need to speak straightforward and frankly. Otherwise, they will think that the tools or the means of oppression is gaining power. We should show them that they can gain or they can win in some aspect in short term, because they have different means that we don't have. For example, they have courts, they have prisons, they have police or army. We have only pen, and we have friends who are just writing. But in longer term, we know that we are stronger than them. With that knowledge of history and trust in the future, that's why now we believe that we can succeed.
Amongst the different committees within PEN International, and again, I will quote your program as a candidate, you wrote that you wished to focus on the linguistics rights. It is an aspect of PEN International which is less known by the audience, by the public, than, and which is very important. And I think that your testimony as a native Kurdish speaker, your mother tongue is Kurdish, writing in Turkish, maybe again an experience which is very rich for the job you have now.
Yeah, yes, you know, PEN International is mostly known by its advocacy activities, because we act and we defend writers in prison, writers at risk mostly. But on the other hand, many people don't know that we also work to promote literature, to promote language and diversity, you know, different aspects of life and writers and authorship. When I emphasized right to language, I meant that not only in Turkey, not only in the Middle East, across the world, everywhere. If you go to Northern Europe or Southern America, you will always see languages that being oppressed or ignored, or their power being underestimated. We are here as the writers organization. We have willingness and also we have desire to give power to writers of those underestimated languages, ignored languages. I can call them orphan languages, because as if they don't have any parents, they left alone, they left to be forgotten, but we are here to remember.
Another aspect of language, and here it is to the writer that I address my question or my interrogation, is that you have written poetry and then you have come to novels and abandoned poetry. Was this a deliberate choice, or do you think that in novels, like the novels you write, and I have read the one Maudit soit l'espoir, which is Istanbul, Istanbul in the original title, which is a very extraordinary novel to discover your writing, but I don't know your poetry writing. So I would like to have your testimony on the transition between poetry and novel.
Yeah. This is maybe the most difficult question to answer now for me, because there are some things that you don't know the reason. I don't know why I changed my, my writing from poetry to prose, writing novels. Of course, I haven't left poetry, but I kind of stopped publishing poetry. I'm still writing. And on the other hand, I think a poet always tries to put his poetic sense into his or her prose. When we write novel, we think or we feel that we are writing a poem in a different form. So especially when you read reviews about your books, if some critic says that, okay, this book is written in a poetic language, you suddenly feel proud. You say, okay, now I managed that. Still, I follow that kind of comments closely.
Mm. Even if I read it in the French translation, which was, in my view, very well realized by Madeleine Zicavo. I quote the translator because as PEN International, we must quote those by which we can cross the frontiers of languages. I discovered that there is poetry in your prosaic style, that your characters have this type of poetical existence, even if it is in a dark situation.
Yes, sometimes I'd like to see myself when I look at the mirror, a poet disguised in the clothing of a novelist. So I publish many novels. In every novel, I publish some of my poems, of course, putting them in the mouth of my characters. So that's kind of personal satisfaction that I feel. And also, it is something that I'd like to give into my novels. A novel can survive with the spirit of poetry. That's my feeling.
As a new president of PEN International, will you still find a time schedule to continue writing and teaching, which is your profession, basic profession, apart from writing? How will you organize all this?
Yes, that's a new challenge for me. Now, PEN International is quite busy organization. We've got so many things to do, and I've already found myself in that deep and busy schedule. But on the other hand, you know, this modern life teaches us something, that is ability to use the time. We have to know how to organize our daily life, how to create a special time for our special work. I think at the moment I'm doing well.
As far, and it will be my last question because I don't want to take too much of your time. My last question will be about your students. How did they react to the fact that their teacher, professor was becoming the president of PEN International? Did they know what it was? Did you speak to them about it?
They already know because I've been on the board of PEN International last 5 years. And before that, I had already been active in that kind of writing and writers platforms. So it's not something new for them. Maybe surprising to see a new move on my side, but I think it was not a big surprise.
Okay, Burhan Sönmez, I thank you very much for this interview, and I wish you all the best for you as president of PEN International, and for all the writers that will need you in many countries. Many thanks, Burhan Sönmez.
Thank you very much, Jean. We also need you because we've been doing together everything, and we will be doing together again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.